Welcome to another legal talk on eRadio with Hahn and Hahn attorneys. This morning joined by Wynand Pieterse, associate attorney from the firm, and we are discussing also one that we constantly get from listeners saying they're being harassed by spam calls. In fact, just before this chat, just before you went on air now, I received 2 spam calls already this morning. But what happens is I block the number. They keep phoning from new numbers. Sometimes it's just another digit that's different or so it comes through. And they try to sell you stuff that you don't want. There's also... It's just really, it's not good. It's not nice. It's disruptive. It is invasive. I think that's the biggest thing. Wynand, good morning.
Good morning, Ian. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
No, I'm also very good, thanks.
That's good. I literally, now that we're talking about this topic, I actually had spam calls this morning. I also find that once you deal with some companies, it's sort of like you're getting an influx of spam calls. And somebody said to me, they think that the companies sell or they share your contact details and, sell it to another company who would think that you would be interested in buying their products. I don't know how accurate that is. I do find it suspicious that once you deal with one company, the others also start phoning you. Isn't that a bit suspicious, Wynand?
Yes, no, definitely. So I think we are all familiar with those pesky calls that come through with someone on the other line wanting to sell you something, like you just mentioned. I think this is what we call the world of telemarketing, where some companies make it their priority to compile databases containing personal information of hundreds and thousands of people. And then, like you just mentioned, this information is then shared at a price with other various companies, which then in turn make numerous of calls to potential new customers for their business. So, interestingly, South African citizens rank amongst the top in the world pertaining to spam calls that are received on average.
Is that even legal?
So, it is not necessarily legal. So, I think for today's talk, I will be dividing the discussion into 3 parts. Firstly, advising where your personal information is mostly acquired. Then I will follow that by your legal rights and what you can proactively try and do to curtail any unwanted spam calls. So to start off with, there are various ways in which any individual's personal information is captured and distributed. So one method is the opt-in method, which individuals expressly give the company, normally online, permission to contact them about other products and promotions. Another method is loyalty cards that are required through various shops. So in essence, it is therefore very important to read the fine print when signing up or ticking any box on any form or consent request to make sure that you want to opt in on any future marketing notifications, or then alternatively, if you do not want to receive these spam calls and marketing bombarding you with different deals, then to explicitly state that you do not consent to such. So then, when we turn to the legal side, the most notable piece of legislation offering the most protection to individuals pertaining to these marketing and spam calls is the Consumer Protection Act. So the Consumer Protection Act makes it illegal for companies to direct unsolicited marketing messages to individuals or to consumers, as the Act states, who have opted out. So that is when you explicitly opted out of not receiving any future deals or promotions from the company. So direct marketing is seen as a form of either personal or electronic communication to promote any goods or services or to request a consumer individual to donate something. So then the Consumer Protection Act goes further in defining electronic communication as communication by means of electronic transmission, including by telephone, fax, SMS, wireless computer access, email, or any similar technology or device. So therefore, spam calls clearly fall under the purview of the protection afforded by the Consumer Protection Act. The Consumer Protection Act stipulates that the right of every person to privacy includes the right to preemptively block any approach or communication if that approach or communication is primarily for the purpose of direct marketing. So to go further, the Act states that specific time of day consumers may be contacted for purposes of direct marketing. So currently, direct marketers, being the companies that bombard you with all these spam calls, cannot contact you at home on Sundays and public holidays or on Saturdays before 9 a.m. and after 1 p.m. and on weekdays between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. the following morning. Furthermore, the Protection of Personal Information Act, more familiarly known as POPI, also stipulates that the processing of personal information for the purpose of direct marketing by means of SMS or email is prohibited unless consent is given. Unfortunately, and how POPI differs from the Consumer Protection Act in its ambit of protection is that POPI does not afford an individual protection against harassing and unwanted phone calls. In other words, the spam calls that we're talking about today. POPI does not explicitly make reference to phone calls as a form of marketing. So, therefore, if an individual or consumer wants to protect his or her rights, then definitely adherence should be given to the Consumer Protection Act in that regard. Lastly, what can a person do to try and curtail these spam calls that you receive? So firstly, if the calls that you're receiving is coming from a telemarketing company, registering on the National Opt-out Database can enable you to opt out of all direct marketing communication. So this National Opt-out Register is run by the Direct Marketing Association of South Africa. The register takes your contact information and ensures that it's not available to any marketing-related company. One should remember that this is only useful when the companies you are trying to block are registered with the Direct Marketing Association of South Africa. Therefore, when you receive a call from any of these companies, you can inquire that from them, or you can visit the website of the Direct Marketing Association of South Africa. If we move on, another possible way to curtail spam calls is to download certain apps if you have a smartphone to block these calls or indicate that they are from a telemarketer, like Truecaller. I think we all are familiar with Truecaller and a lot of people have it on their phones. So briefly, this app is a global telephone directory that allows its users to have caller ID service despite not having the caller's telephone number in their phone's address. So Truecaller, for example, allows a user to block calls from specific telephone numbers they don't want to receive or ones that have been labeled as spam by other users of the service. And then lastly, you can also approach an attorney to draft a letter of demand stating that direct marketing is in contravention of your specific rights to be protected from this, and specifically in cases where one has expressly opted out of receiving any direct marketing from a company. And then, as a last resort, and if all else fails, a person can open a case of harassment with the South African Police Service. The police will take a statement and capture your details. Given the regulation of Interception of Communications Act, better known as RICA, the police have access to every cell phone user's details and can use this information to locate and track down the perpetrator effecting all the spam calls. So therefore, in conclusion, make sure that you expressly opt out of any future marketing communication from any specific company when joining or completing a purchase or filling out any form. Definitely read the fine print. Should they not adhere to this request, you can enforce your rights as discussed earlier and take any active steps to curtail spam calls from any telemarketers in general. Thank you so much, Jan.
Wynand, thank you so much. You covered everything. I had a few questions, but just as you went along, you answered all of them. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. And, of course, you can get in touch with Hahn and Hahn attorneys if, it gets like a really, really extreme, these spam calls. They'll help you to, fight them off. Wynand, bye-bye, dankie, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Ian. Same to you.
Are you or your business in trouble and struggling to find a solution? Call Hahn and Hahn Attorneys as we assist clients in finding solutions. We specialize in consumer and food law, commercial and construction law, forensic investigations and administrative law. Visit hahnlaw.co.za. That's HAHN. We assist clients nationwide. Hahn and Hahn Attorneys, because we care. Don't miss Legal Talk with Hahn and Hahn Attorneys, Wednesday mornings at 10 on eRadio.